fact that people still go missing this day and age is so insane to me. So much technology, people still go missing. It's incredibly sad. If you don't know, my name is Just May. I do makeup and true crime. If you're new here, please subscribe. If you're not, welcome back. Oh yeah. And today we're going to be talking about Kadin Black. In December of 2022, 19-year-old Kadin Black, he vanished from Wrightsville, Pennsylvania. There's not a lot of coverage on his case, which is why I'm talking about it. But let's get into what happened. So Kadin Black, he grew up in Pennsylvania. He was surrounded by his family. He was known to be very athletic. He loved sports. He loved animals. From what have I read, I learned that Kadin, he had so much energy from a young age, like he was always active. Kadin, he kind of struggled with controlling his emotions. I'm gonna assume that, being in certain activities like boxing, track was his outlet. People that knew Kadin, they described him as very kind-hearted, not cruel, but protective. And keep in mind that Kadin is a teenager. So as Kadin got older, he kind of found it difficult to control his emotions as any other teenager. But for Kadin, he did struggle with certain disorders. In high school, Kadin, he was diagnosed with autism and the oppositional disorder, so ODD. So it's really important that we keep this in mind. So with those two conditions, it can make it more difficult for you to regulate your emotions. You pretty much kind of move off impulse. School kind of became a conflict for Kadin in a way. Arguments turned into disciplinary actions. Disciplinary actions turned into suspensions. It was just a system that wasn't built for him. Kadin had the idea that maybe if he move somewhere else, he'll have like a better time. He wanted to move in with his father that lives in East Prospect, which is just a few minutes from Wrightsville. At first, his mother was like very hesitant and she was like, no, you're not going to go there. But eventually she agreed because she just wants her son to be happy. In November 2021, Kadin, he moved into his father's home. Unfortunately for Kadin, like problems did not stop. Kadin went to York High School. So it's really important that you understand that Kadin, he's the type of person to stand up for himself and for others as well. Kadin was not afraid to confront people when they're wrong. But unfortunately, in a school system, typically, like when you stand up for yourself or etc., pretty much get disciplined. Kadin, eventually he did get expelled from York High School. So after Kadin was expelled, he went to Paradise School. So it's a small private special education school, but Kadin, he hated that school. He hated the distance, he hated the isolation, and the feeling of being labeled as a problem. When you're in your teenage years, I'm pretty sure that puts a lot of pressure on your back. April 4th, 2022, after Kadin was being transported back to his father's home, some reporters say that this was a small bus. Others say that it was a regular bus, but size of the bus, it doesn't really matter. But what does matter is that there was assigned seats on this bus, and Kadin wasn't sitting in his assigned seat. According to the reports, the driver became upset with Kadin. The driver was really upset to the point where he pulled over to the side of Route 30, and that is a big highway. The driver told Kadin that he was tired of his mess and to get off the bus. And this is where things become concerning. Whenever you look at the Pennsylvania school bus guidelines, asking a student to get off the bus on a major highway, that goes against their guidelines, y'all. A more appropriate response, driver going back to the school or calling for assistance. But that did not happen, and the exchange became more heated. According to the report, the driver stated that Kadin threw a clipboard with papers and slammed the bus door. Kadin, he was arrested and he was charged with aggravated assault. For him to go to jail, it just made things worse on his end. So after his release on bail, Kadin's relationship with his father had a strain on it. By June 2022, Kadin was placed in voluntary mental health hold because there was an incident where Kadin, he was burning pictures of himself. You know how low you have to be to burn pictures of yourself. So during the place that Kadin was in, a family friend, Chris Faust, decided to step up. Chris provided a temporary space for Kadin so Kadin could build some stability for himself, pretty much get back on his feet. And he even decided to, get his GED. Kadin even started to get his own lawn business, but someone stole his lawnmower, so that held him back. When Kadin moved into Chris Faust's home, he was making big moves for himself. But by December of 2022, there was some different changes going on. He kind of felt, I guess, restless, not erratic or, crazy, more of overwhelmed. December 17th, 2022, Kadin borrowed Chris's car to go cash his check-in. That night, he was telling people that he was going to go see his father because every Sunday he'd go see his dad because they have a dog, and the dog was a pit bull, and they go running and things like that. But this particular Sunday, Kadin did not show up. So when Caden's dad realized that his son, Caden, was not there on Sunday, he was like, this is weird. Caden's dad, his name is Maurice, he been calling Caden like crazy, and Caden was not answering. And it's also strange because the next day, December 18th, which is Monday, Caden had to work. And Tuesday rolls around, Caden's dad decided to call Chris. And Chris was like, I haven't seen Caden since he left. That same day on Tuesday, Chris decides to open Caden's door, which I feel like that's kind of strange. Like, it's Tuesday. He's supposed to be back on Monday, but you know what? It is what it is. So he decides to open Caden's door. Caden was not there. So when Chris realized that Caden was not in his room, that's when they decided to make a police report. And investigators, they hopped on his case really quickly. So when the investigators got to the Faust family house, they searched through Caden's room. They found, alcohol in his room, typical teenage stuff. It looks like a teenage boardroom. They found a handwritten rap that he wrote, but they did notice that his phone and wallet was missing, as well as a pair of shoes. Caden's ID was found in Chris's car. It was clipped with a $5 bill and a deposit slip. Caden's dad, Marie's home was also searched, but nothing was there. Even though Caden's phone was missing, they were still able to clone it and go through the records. And his phone pinged off not too far from the Faust home. It pinged off of Old Windsor Road at 9:28 p.m. and that is not far from the Faust home. And it was also on the Sunday. But the most significant thing that they found, his phone was connected to the Faust family Wi-Fi at 9:33 a.m. Around that morning, he was somewhere in that house. He had to be somewhere near that house or in that house. And his social medias were gone. And there was also no surveillance cameras. And it's so strange. Like, it's 2022. You don't have no Ring doorbell or surveillance cameras. Police and investigators, they searched all around that area, but during that time, it is Pennsylvania and it is December, so it was snowing during that time. But as soon as the weather cleared up, there was still nothing, no sign of Caden. Like, there was still nothing. I mean, even investigators, they even went to his job. They talked to his boss. They even spoke to his coworker. And Caden had plans with his coworker after work during that week. So it was just so weird to the reason why he would vanish. Or it's just so strange because, like I said, Caden did go deposit his check and they looked in his bank account. That money's still sitting there. So it's just so weird. Investigators even went to psychics to find Caden. Well, both of the psychics that they went to, they both said that he was in water. Investigators searched the area that the psychics told them. Still no Caden. And it's just so sad. Like, you don't know where your baby is. I can't imagine what his mom must feel, the pain, or anybody around him must feel. But there was a lot of theories that came into his case. One of the theories, people believe that he could have a mental health crisis, but it's just very important that we understand that there's not a lot of details for his case, so it's kind of hard to create theories. Another theory, people believe that he probably had an accidental death. I mean, he could have walked somewhere and entered the river, possibly fell in the river, like, we don't know. People believe that his disappearance was voluntary. Maybe he wanted to leave because he probably had so much pressure on him, but it doesn't feel likely that he would do that simply because he made plans. He had plans before his disappearance, so it's just like that wouldn't add up to me. Another theory, people believe that the Faust family had something to do with his death. The reason why people believe this is because they gave Caden a car, and I don't think it was up and running. I don't think the car was drivable. I think they were working on it. Chris Faust sold the car on Facebook Market, as well as Caden's mattress that he got for Caden. There's a lot of possibilities, y'all. But people believe that this could have been some type of foul play. Investigators believe that foul play was probably encountered. Could have been a random encounter. Wrong place, wrong time type of situation. So it's just like there's so many possibilities, so many questions, not many answers. Still to this day, Caden's family is still searching for justice and still looking for Caden. They also have a Facebook page if you want to check it out. I'll link it down below. I hope one day Caden's family and friends can get justice and get some answers. Until then, that is all I have for y'all today. I hope you guys like, comment, subscribe, and share this video to get Caden's story out more.